Good evening and welcome to a very special video today, which is World Sight Day. And we bring you a different perspective on blindness and visual impairment. Our guest here today is Ms. Preeti Monga. She is founder and CEO of Silver Linings Trust and Silver Linings Services. Blind since childhood, she is an inspirational woman who has been working towards education and empowerment of the blind, inclusion of disabled, and prevention of blindness, and has directly and indirectly impacted millions of people since 1987. She promotes inclusion of employment of disabled and holds motivational trainings, facilitates cornea donations, and does trauma counseling. Her NGO is running the Shiksha Preparatory School, which educates blind girls under the integrated system, also runs a hostel for blind girls and women, along with providing them with all required developmental training so that they can become productive and contributing citizens. She received the National Award for Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities from the President of India in 2013. Preeti ji, welcome to Organ India, and it's wonderful to finally be able to speak with you.
Sunena ji, thank you so very much for having me here. And it's absolutely my honor, my pleasure. I'm humbled to be here. And I hope that my being here is going to make a little bit of difference in the
Definitely
way on the very special occasion of World Sight Day.
wonderful. So, congratulations on your national award and everything that you have achieved in the past few decades. It's truly inspiring. So I just wanted to begin by asking you, what is the significance of World Sight Day?
Uh, See, I think it holds a very deep significance because sight is so common for a human being. Eyesight is just you open your eyes, and I think a large percent of human beings uh, just see and just carry on with their life, right?
Right.
They never
For granted.
realize,
Yeah.
yeah. So they never realize that they're just opening their eyes, and when they're seeing, the world probably comes into their grasp, into their, they're in command, and they don't realize what a important gift is eyesight, and what they have is so precious, but it's so easy for them to access it. They don't count it as
Right.
precious.
I mean, we all take it as, granted.
It's just okay. It's a run of the mill. Okay. I mean, you don't even think about, being able to see.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So that is very interesting when 80% of your, a person's knowledge and functioning is actually based upon your eyesight, and yet we never give it a, even a 0.0001% thought.
Exactly.
So it's a very important day. World Sight Day is a very important day, and it should be celebrated. It should be observed in a very much more on a much more bigger scale, because I think not only the loss of it, but I think caring for your sight is another very big aspect, and being thankful, grateful that you can see, a person can see, is tremendous. It only is realized the day the lights go out in your home, or
Exactly.
or there is blurring on your windscreen, or while you're driving, or something that little simple, or somebody who's lost eyesight to any degree. That's the time when you really wonder, oh, why I can't see, what's wrong with me. So I
Mm.
think World Sight Day is very significantly important, and we should all be celebrating it.
Yes, I agree totally. I mean, we take things for granted. This didn't even occur to me, that yes, I've taken it for granted.
That's the fun of it.
Yeah, yeah. And why am I not celebrating it?
Huh?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Silver Lining Trust, how did it come about? I mean, you've written, I've read some of your blogs and
Yeah.
parts of your
Yeah.
books that you've been educating as a child, you've been educating, training, and empowering blind girls, boys, women.
Yeah.
What motivated you to do that?
The simple fact that, as I mentioned in my earlier comment, that 80% of the knowledge that a human being possesses, or the functioning of a human being, is had it goes through the window of eyesight, right? And it's a world made by sighted people for sighted people, and the people who don't have the gift of eyesight, or who've lost their sight due to any reason, have never been thought about. And what happens is, when you don't have the gift of eyesight, it may be due to any reason or any point in time. Uh, it is very strange. we, as you know, I'm totally blind myself since childhood, and uh, we miss out that 80% chance of acquiring the knowledge the way it is presented to us in the world.
Correct.
We are completely oblivious and we completely lost. We just don't know what the world is all about, what happens, how the world goes round, how to aspire, because we don't see anything, we don't aspire. A lot of things are not available to people without sight, are not available to them. And hence, even if they do get some kind of an education through a school, special school or school for blind, um, you know,
Mm.
uh, it's not a 360-degree education. It's just a bookish education. Suppose I talk about Mount Everest, you know. So a child who is being taught about Mount Everest will also have a pictorial
Right.
view of it. And today's world and time, I mean, there is so much out there which is visual, which
Mm.
comes onto your onto your hand phone, or
Mm.
your computer desk, or pictures, photographs, films. But even a simple thing like Mount Everest doesn't make any sense
Mm.
to a person who has never seen it. A multi-story building doesn't make sense to anyone. What is a multi-story building? What is an office like? What is a corporate office like? How do people sit? How do people stand? How are you supposed to dress? Um, these are just a tip of the iceberg. I mean, I'm just trying to, because we don't have that much time, but anything that is around us is just words.
Right.
And hence, I decided, because I had suffered this, and I was a very lucky, fortunate person, a child, that my parents had a tremendous amount of common sense, although they were very traumatized when they discovered they had a blind daughter.
Mhm.
But they had a wonderful common sense, that they were not trained to bring up a blind child. But my mother, as well as my father, would close their eyes and do a function, and then teach me how to do it using my other senses. And
That's
hence I got where I am today, right? And they would supplement, and same went with my younger brother. When this he saw that my parents were describing everything, so he automatically fell into that pattern. And he also, while playing or fighting or whatever brother sister siblings do, he always instructed or directed his actions towards my other senses as well. So I was always included. So when I had this gift, and I grew up in that way, I realized, as I grew up, I realized that when I went to a school for the blind, accidentally, incidentally, I
Mhm.
realized that this is not taught to anyone. This part is completely missing. Okay, there's can get certificates, you get degrees if you get good numbers, but it does not making any visual sense, or to a blind person.
Mm.
And especially the girls are even more marginalized, because as it is, women are are on the margins, no matter how much we talk about it. uh, and can you imagine being a blind girl and a blind woman? So I decided in 1987 that, although I was working for the all the genders, but my focus needed to be on girls and women. And because I was a girl and woman, I had um, the knowledge of being able to explain to them, help them understand their world better, and social skills, all the other rest of rest of the things, so that they discover. Sorry about that. So they discover. That's my speech device wanting to also help me talk.
Wow.
So that's why I chose to be uh, working in this field. And then when I jumped into the whole thing, I realized that there is tremendous work that needs to be done. A lone person, a girl who has practically no money, uh, no one to help her, and totally blind, if she has to take on such a task alone, it's just unthinkable. And then in 2006, I continued to work alone, though,
Mhm.
because that time I was struggling myself, but I continued to work in this field and helping anyone and everyone through media, through my training programs, through working as a volunteer, basically through groups of people, women. And then in 2006, I launched my NGO, a trust, which I called Silver Linings. That's how Silver Linings came about as a trust. But my work started in 1987, and the Silver Linings, I realized as I went along, is not only something that would help people or women or uh, persons who are not able to see or children who are not able to see. Silver Linings is supposed to help every human being because we are all challenged.
Right.
So that's how this whole thing came about.
Really amazing. I also read that you had some problems in with yourself in schools. You
Yes,
were
of
being told
course.
that you dare to dream, about
Absolutely.
being
Absolutely.
educated, about getting married, uh, and then you went out on to become a single mother. You fought
Absolutely.
back on your own terms. It's a long,
It's
fruitful
long
journey.
story. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Challenges have come my way in, I think, in bunches, and they just cascaded on me all the time. I'd just get out of one, and the next one would be there, and then not no one, many would be there, starting from, as you said, being thrown out of school just because I was blind,
Right,
and the rest of it. And uh, I should not live on my own terms. I must be dependent on someone. And because I didn't have an education, I must, adhere to everybody else's norms. So challenges have continued. And of course, my blindness has been a very major challenge. When you can't see, then things become magnified, the challenges. But I still feel that, every human being has challenges. And hence I freely share. Um, I, that's why I wrote my autobiographies. There are two of them which are published. And also, I started writing a blog. Whenever I get that little bit of time, I do that. And I never say no to an interview, a media, so that somewhere people do realize that if I can make it, then so can they.
right, right. And where did you get all this, at the times when you felt like totally that all these troubles are upon you, where did you find that motivation? And what made you just,
Mm.
stay so positive, and committed?
Well, that's a very interesting question, which I have to answer a lot.
Mhm.
Because, yes, when you're down and out, you know, uh, it is very, very tough to look at the positive side of life. It's very, very tough. But since a child, since I got my disability, my father is the person who always, with his knowledge of the scriptures, the Guru Granth Sahib, and other, he was a very well-read man, and he always told me, he said, you have to make yourself strong. You have to, with a share, he used to always motivate me, even when I was a little girl. खुद ही को कर बुलंद इतना कि हर तदबीर से पहले खुदा बंदे से खुद पूछे बता तेरी रजा क्या है. So that got into me,
Mm.
that I have to build myself up, and only then will I be able to live a dignified life and on my own terms so that I can contribute. I wanted to become a contributor. I wanted to give more than get, you know, because I knew if I give, all this was taught to me through all these, the wisdom of my elders and the wisdom of this. I'm very, very interested in uh, reading and soaking up the wisdom around me. So that is something that told me that I need to give more than I need to take, because when I give, what I get is tremendous. It's priceless. And that is something that uh, always got me out of all the challenges that, got me that motivation to get out of the challenges. Either I succumb, if I wanted to live, I wanted to live a dignified life and a person who could freely explore. And that's what pulled me out, that I did not want to be a poor thing and just be on one side. I had a choice, but I couldn't choose that somehow. And I wanted my children also then later on to be not to be ashamed of me. At least they should be, if I can't do much for them, at least I could teach them that you need to stand up on your own feet. And thankfully, I have been successful there as well.
Wonderful. I read something interesting in one of your blogs that part of the challenge of inclusion of the blind, apart from, like the institutional challenges like
Mm,
lack of
mm.
facilities, education, jobs, etc., is that people feel awkward when they meet someone who's,
Yeah,
in terms of what to say, what not to say, what to do, what could be considered harm, a little
yeah,
hurtful, offensive, and how to
yeah, yeah,
overcome that awkwardness. And I
yeah.
think that's like true to a very, very large extent. And that's why interaction is, minimum. Like we don't really see people interacting that
Mm,
much.
mm.
And I think our viewers would appreciate what you have to say about that, and or how all of us as individuals
True.
can learn how to interact openly and freely with
Yeah.
someone who's visually impaired, or even hearing impaired, or anybody like that.
Sure, sure. So it's a chicken and egg story.
Hmm.
What comes first? Um, and it's these inhibitions are within us, all of us. Um, so I always feel that there needs to be inclusive education right from day one. The families also, you will notice when a child, they have a blind child in the family, this blind child is given extra care, overprotection, or on the other hand, neglect, complete neglect.
Hmm.
So this child is completely out of the system, out of the inclusion, even in his her own family, right? Because there is no awareness. Let me give you a very simple metaphor that people could understand simply, that if you have to close your eyes or live without electricity for one night and have to do everything from bathing to eating to working to settling your things, finding your stuff, you won't last more than 5 minutes, because a human being, a sighted person, is so much dependent on eyesight,
Hmm.
that they feel that somebody who cannot see has to be alien or has to be super human, or or is such a mystery. How do we get along? Till even now, I get questions like, how do you, how can you manage to cook? You cook? Oh God. How do you manage to dress? How do you manage to choose your clothes? I mean, it's not their fault. It's the lack of interaction, lack of being together throughout. If the children, parents are educated, if the world is educated that it's okay if someone can't walk, you just help that person along, take him along, take her along. The wheelchair is there, just push it around, okay, and just be there, just ignore the wheelchair. If the person is blind, just you can link your arm through hers, and you can also play a running game or do anything. So this will open only happen because children are not yet tuned in and tutored. These are the different people. You
Hmm.
have to be careful with them. Children fight, children do, they normal, naturally they grow up, and then they will find no difficulty in interacting with any kind of a person with a disability or any kind of a human being. What we need to figure out is, what we need to fix in our minds is that we are all human beings. It's not that a person with a disability, or especially a blind person, is great or really bad, or those are the two parameters you're put on.
Hmm.
We're just, we are, we belong. Blindness can happen in any home, anywhere, at any time. We are just a part of the human society, and we're also so different from each other, just like anyone else. So this only can happen if we are completely included right from day one, and not put away into special schools and treated separately. And I think that's what I promote. That blind people can be lazy, can be, not wanting to do things, can be of any kind, and also can excel, and just be average or just be good. You know, so we need to understand that, don't look at a wheelchair, don't look at impairment, just look at the human being and just relax. Even if you're offensive, at least that person will shout at you that, hey, I don't want to be talked to. So that's okay. That even people who are sighted, not everybody gets along with everybody.
Right.
Yeah, so it
That's
just needs
true.
to be
Yeah.
normal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
Hmm.
more interaction, more inclusion, and that's why I'm fighting for inclusion all the time.
And do you feel that it's there at all in companies, offices, schools, colleges? Are we
Ah,
are we heading to that, in that direction or not at all?
no, no. We see, we there are laws in place. There are intentions are there, right? Uh, Companies, schools, everywhere, the laws are in place. But let me tell you, this has two sides to look at it. One thing is that we in India are so heavily populated. We all feel, as any human being would feel in such a heavily populated country, that the jobs are less. Even people who don't have any disabilities, highly qualified people, are jobless today, right? So there is not enough. First of all, I don't believe in that there is more than enough to go by. So that also promotes that we should put people into classes, into communities, and say, no, this is not for you. For you, if we take a blind child into the class, then we have to have a special something, and which we don't have, so we don't want to take the child. So I think the division is more from the feeling of lack. It erupts from there. Okay, how can we marginalize and push people uh, on the margins, so that there's more for the for the masses, right? That is one thing. And the other thing is lack of understanding, lack of awareness that it's okay to be together. you know that's what social systems are. So I feel that we are trying to go there, but we are not succeeding very much. Very, very little success is there. And I think we all just need to just take away our focus from everything else and say, capability, ability is something that we have to focus in, whether it is in a person without disability, or somebody with a disability, or without blindness, or with blindness. I think we need to just give reasonable quality opportunity to everybody according to her and his social system. What other children are doing in the family, or what other children are doing in their town, city, village, the children with disabilities should also be there only within them, if they're included there. And the other thing is, I think we need to be looking at abilities. Once you give a reasonable opportunity, that opportunity is available to someone,
Hmm.
maybe a blind person, then that blind person or child is has a chance to come up, to prove whether it's going to be a productive person or just somebody who's on the wayside and looking for the easy way in life, which most human beings look out for. forget blind people or anyone. Everybody likes an easy way out.
Yeah.
So it's just as simple as that.
So you've written two autobiographies, The Other Senses and
Yeah.
Flight Without Sight.
Yeah. Flight without
Yeah.
sight. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about those.
Yeah. So I always felt, see, I'm a very ordinary human being, uh, struggling. I've been struggling through my life, and I had children, I had, family, my cousins and people. So I used to think that, maybe my story would be forgotten and not be, you know, how would my children know? Because when they were small, they would miss out on a lot. So I focused on that, and I started to write my life story, from where back I could remember. And I had access to a computer at that time, and I started to write my life story. And then a friend of mine, Susan Viswanathan, she's a acclaimed writer and a professor. She was a professor. She's just retired at JNU. So we used to travel by chartered bus. So she said, "Why didn't you're writing?" So I told her. So she said, "Why didn't you send it to a publisher? Send it to Rolly Books. Just find the,
Mm.
I'll send you the email ID." And I did, and I forgot about it. And they said that, "Yes, ma'am, please complete the book and we want to publish it." And I was so zapped.
Good.
Then I was serious about it. And then I realized that my life story, my life's learnings are not only important for the people with vision impairment. I think those learnings and those books are a huge motivation, for anybody that would like to read them. That's what I felt. And then, so the other senses was something I want, it just struck me that everything I'm doing, everything, but without the use of sight.
Mm.
And I should call it the other senses because we have five senses, four of them are working perfectly. So, I mean, they could be better than just one and a half, which normally people use. So I called it the other senses. And then a lot of feedback came back to me that, Preeti, you haven't really written the horrendous challenges that you have faced in a very straightforward way, and I think you need to write more. So then I wrote the next book, which was Flight Without Sight. And although they are quite similar, but Flight Without Sight is a very concise book. And my dream was to be published by Hay House. And that's what happened. And they did a wonderful job helping me edit it. And I think that book came out in 2018. So it's all out there.
Wonderful. Um, any short message you'd like to share with our viewers?
Yes, I think that, okay, all right, if people have become visually impaired, it's okay. But there are in our country so many, so many, so many people who are blind, unnecessarily blind. I think we need to work towards helping such people to gain their eyesight back. That is one thing. Although there is a lot of work happening, but still, people should come forward and donate corneas. People should come forward and, in fact, donate everything that they have. I mean, what do we have? This is all going to remain here behind us. So I think that is a message that I want to give. And if ever anyone finds a child, a person with vision impairment, feel free to connect with me. At least I can guide that person, guide the family, what steps to take, and help the family understand that you've only lost, the child has only lost sight, nothing else.
Mm.
So let's timely bring that child to any institution around their home, anywhere, so that the child gets some rehabilitation and is off into the world as soon as possible.
Thank you so much, Preeti ji, for joining us. And I really look forward to reading both your books. Hope that the
Thank
viewers
you.
do too. My
That,
deepest respect for your work, and I wish you the best for the future. I hope that
thank you.
everyone watching here has been inspired not only to pledge their corneas for donation, but also to have an inclusive approach to persons with visual impairment or any kind of
Any
impairment.
kind of, yeah, sure.
And if you
Thank,
If
Yeah.
anybody would like to reach out to you, they can do so at your email ID, if that's
Yes,
convenient for us.
certainly.
Yeah.
Certainly. My email ID is there. And you need to just Google my name, PREETI space MONGA. And I'm very, very accessible.
Yeah, you can also look her up on
Dash
www.silverlinings.org.
linings.org. Yes,
Thank you
certainly.
so much, Preeti ji. It's really fantastic talking to you.
Thank you so much for having me.
A pleasure.